They call me Dan, the Lakers fan. And I got a master plan for the Lakers back to the promised land. Spread the vision through my people, cause we fans are equal. When we reach 20K subs, yeah, we gon' drop a sequel. Another Laker anthem track, watch me run it back. Got the keys to the city where my Laker jet.
What up, Laker family? It is your boy DTLF back with the latest updates and Laker rumors and news, guys, because we did get some breaking news today about Shake Milton. So we're going to get into all of that and what I predict will happen next and what should happen. And, you know, also we're going to talk about the free agent moves we've done so far, where they rank in free agency, and a lot more to be done because there's still a lot of free agents out there. I'm going to bring up the list and all that good stuff. But first, let's start with what really happened, man. And before I even get into that really quick, man, I want to say thank you guys for all the support this summer so far. It's been amazing. All right. Shout out to Kimiko who's doing the Lord's work here. Nate, my brother, good to see you, man. And everybody else in here. Days, what's up, bro? All right. Let's get into it, guys, because, again, the Los Angeles Lakers have waived guard Shake Milton, right? Sources tell ESPN. Milton's $3 million contract next season would have become fully guaranteed today. The Lakers are clearing space for signing Marcus Smart. Now, that's only $3 million, so it makes absolutely zero sense that would be the only move, right? Clearly, waiving Shake Milton definitely opens up a roster spot and puts us below the first apron. But here's the Lakers' paths to clear an additional space to sign Marcus Smart, maybe even somebody else, right? So they can also waive Jordan Goodwin, which I don't really like that option right there, right? They can waive and stretch somebody else, which I also don't like that option. I don't like to be on the books for several years, especially if it ends up being an expiring contract like Gabe Vincent's, right? Or Vandal or somebody like that, right? My favorite option would be they can trade in which they take back less salary than they send out. And I think that's the best option, guys. And also we can offload multiple roster spots. That'd be even better, you know. But yeah, what up, Amir? Good to see you, bro. You know, I think it's awesome that the Lakers have had a tremendous season. And I'm gonna tell you guys where it stacks amongst the rest of the competition. I want to tell you guys who I want to talk about later on, who the projected starters, right, are gonna be for the Lakers and who I think should be the starters and the bench. All right. But let's start with potential moves that the Lakers could make to clear up some salary here. Here's an option here. I put it into the trade machine. It works. The Lakers could trade Gabe Vincent's $11.5 million expiring contract and a second-round pick, right, to a team like, I don't know, let's say, what would be a good team? They could trade him maybe to a team like the Detroit Pistons, right, who clearly might have a little bit more space to absorb a contract while getting a second-round pick or two, right? This would save us $11.5 million, reducing the payroll to $177.3 million, right? Creating $18.6 million in first apron space for the full $14.1 million mid-level exception, right? And the $5.1 biannual exception. So this would be ideal just to, you know, offload a contract, maybe attach a second round pick and do that. By the way, my guy Marcus Smart just agreed to a buyout today. So that means, guess what, guys? That means that he officially got bought out. He needs to clear waivers in 48 hours. So even though, like I told you guys yesterday, the news was official, Marcus Smart choosing the Lakers, it's not officially until he signs, right? So again, he reached the buyout agreement today. Got to wait till Wednesday. No, is it Wednesday? Wednesday is either Tuesday or Wednesday, 48 hours till he clears waivers and we're able to officially sign this man. So yeah. But the Lakers could be working on a trade. A lot of people are reporting that, you know, the Lakers could be working on a trade. And hopefully that works, man. If we don't have any second round picks, then they better work on a trade because we're going to have to figure out a way to offload more salary than just waiving Shake Milton in order to sign Marcus Smart, right? He said the stretching isn't going to be too bad for the guys because they don't make any money and the cap will be going up. It probably is going to come out to like a minimum contract each year. Yeah, I feel you. But if there's a way we can avoid that by making a trade, I do that. Plus, even if we don't have a second round pick, D-Free, it would be nice to be able to get some value back for an expiring contract, right? Even if it is just offloading the expiring contract, and, you know, that would be great. But yeah, is it Tuesday? Okay, Tuesday. So Tuesday, I guess he clears waivers officially. either Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, guys, bottom line is the Lakers have made moves, tremendous amount of moves, and we're going to see how it stacks up versus the rest of the competition. I'll take a couple of comments before I move on to the next topic. Let's see. Did you see the rumor that Dalton plus Kleber trade in order to open up a roster spot and reduce salary to afford Marcus Smart? I'll be honest, man. Maxi Kleber doesn't really impress me. He could add a different layer to this roster that we don't have, a floor spacing big. But Dalton, I think, has to go, fam. Dalton just looked mentally checked out. He looked like he regressed in Summer League. And I think it will be the best interest in both parties to split up, right? So much as I like Dalton's potential, I think he's going to flourish a lot better elsewhere, right? So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, it's interesting for sure. There's a lot of rumors that can still happen. Listen, there's still a lot of free agency pieces that haven't moved out there, guys. We still have plenty of free agents. There's some restricted free agents like Kuminga and Josh Giddey as well, and Cam Thomas, Quentin Grimes, guys like that we don't know what's going to happen. This free agency has gone really, really slow, right? We are now officially July 20th, and there's still important free agents like Chris Paul, Al Horford, Ben Simmons, Malcolm Brogdon, Gary Payton II. There's still plenty of free agents. So the fact that it's stalled a little bit here, that just tells you that, teams like the Lakers are still working around to either clear cap space or roster spots, whatever they're trying to do. We know who our guy is, and most likely this will be a roster now with Marcus Smart being the final piece. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make a trade here to clear up even more room and maybe even go get another guy from free agency because there's some good names there. What up, Richard? Good to see you, man. I'm doing really good, man. What would I like to see the Lakers make? Well, I want us to offload a player like Gabe Vincent, if I'm being honest. That's a move I would like to see. This dude has an $11.5 million expiring contract. And, apparently we don't have any second-round picks to offload, but that in itself should be somewhat of a, that should be somewhat of a, I guess, thing. Because let's think about this. There's going to be teams that are going to want cap space for the next free agency. Now, maybe this value becomes more apparent around the trade deadline this upcoming season. But I think guys like Gabe Vincent, maybe even Rui, and I hate to even bring up Rui in conversations because I like Rui, but he has an $18.3 million expiring contract. He's a young talent. He's got tremendous potential. We've seen what he did in the playoffs last year, and he's also expiring, so he might be one of the better options. And I'm still not going to give up on Walker Kessler, man. I'm still not giving up on him because if you can move Ayton to the 4 and Kessler to the 5, now you're cooking. Not saying that'll happen, but Walker Kessler has a $4.9 million expiring contract. Maybe we can work something out. If we, we'll see. But again, we have plenty of pieces that we should be able to move off of. Let's not forget Maxi Kleber, $11 million expiring contract, right? $11 million expiring contract, and Jared Vanderbilt has 2 years remaining on his contract. That's 12.9. So we have some tradable contracts here. It's all about finding the right trade partner and getting that done, because I think that'll help us tremendously in our flexibility, obviously our ability to officially ink Marcus Smart and do more, So next phase, Loco is Cheeks. Give one of the 2 open 2-way spots to Goodwin after waiving him. Give up the first to go get Wiggins and give Connect and Gabe and Maxi. I'll be honest with you. All right. I like Wiggins. Now, I wasn't initially the biggest fan of that trade with Dalton, a first-round pick, and Rui for Wiggins, but if you can offload multiple salaries and create a roster slot, that might be a way we can go. I'm not even going to lie to you next phase. That might be a way we can go. Still, it's an overpay for me, and I don't like overpays, but, man, it's Dalton was so bad that I don't even know if he'll have any trade value unless people don't have short-term memory loss. They remember what he did last season, right? But when you're a Laker, you just seem to have less trade value. Appreciate you, next phase. Thank you so much for the love, brother. Sucks what happened to Bazley. I know, man. I know you hate to see it because it felt like he was going to make a roster spot. Even if it wasn't with the Lakers, I was definitely cheering for the kid. He plays his heart out. He has a high motor. What is he, 25, 26? Still relatively young, especially for NBA years. And you hate to see him go out like that. But he will come back stronger and better. And hopefully he works on the free throws and stuff like that. Uses this time as a blessing in disguise. Sometimes, I remember when I hurt my right hand and I still wanted to hoop, I went straight to the left, and I became even better with my left than I already initially was. Let's see. D3 says reports are Jonathan wants 30 million. Golden State offered him that last offseason, and he turned it down, but the Warriors want to give him closer to 20, so he's tradable. He also wants to leave. Yeah, bro. Again, a lot of interesting situations around the league, a lot of question marks still, which is why I'm going to be popping up a lot during this month and maybe even into the next month, because Al Horford still hasn't decided if he wants to retire or be a Laker or worse, right? If he wants to be, if he doesn't want to come to the Lakers, then it's only downhill from there. He might as well retire. Russell Westbrook is still out there, although I think there's a chance he could have played his last contract. But you never know. There might be a team desperate enough to sell tickets, and they might pick him up. Ben Simmons still doesn't have a jump shot. Last time I checked, where'd it go? Malcolm Brogdon, still a very valuable name. Gary Payton II, very solid as well. Again, Thomas Bryant, who was just in the finals putting in work, is available. Precious Achiuwa. I know the name Precious is interesting, but come on now. He's got some talent, right? Amir Coffey, not a fan, even though he's a good 3-and-D player, but, ex-Clippers. There's still some notable free agents out there, so it almost feels like half of free agency has gone down so far, and the other half is still pending. And what is it pending? I don't know. Maybe free agents know that the Lakers are going to create a roster spot, and they're waiting to, Josh Okogie's still out there, right? Not much, yeah, boy. Doing well, man. I was just waiting to accumulate enough news to bring you guys some reports and some updates and my thoughts on certain things, like Shake Milton being waived. He was not going to get no playing time, especially with this signing of Marcus Smart. That's going to become official in a couple of days. So I understood why Shake Milton got waived. Jordan Goodwin, I like, and I hope he's able to stay on board. I hope they don't have to stretch him, because that would suck. He was on a very team-friendly contract. But again, in my opinion, I think it's best that we make some sort of a trade to clear up a roster spot, or maybe even two. I'm not even sure if it's possible. I think we might have to bring back. Do we have to bring back an equal amount of contracts? I don't know. This new CBA is different. But one thing I do know is if we can offload multiple contracts, we do that, right? He said, bro, they will switch hunting Dalton in Summer League. That's as low as you can go. It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen. He's an unproven player, second-year player. His confidence is low. The league is full of dogs. Well, for the most part. Some of these guys aren't dogs. They're more cats, like Karl-Anthony Towns. But, the league is full of dogs, and these guys are they smell blood in the water. They see the confidence is low. They're going to go for the jugular. And that's what happened with Dalton. I don't know if he thought it was going to be a walk in the park, or he didn't want to be in Summer League, or he just doesn't want to be a Laker. Regardless, it seems like a change of scenery. I could be wrong. Maybe he comes to life in training camp, preseason, and then beyond. But it seems like a change of scenery for him might be the best thing available for him and for us. He said, I think Horford and Milton have decided on Golden State. They just can't sign them until they figure out what's going on with Jonathan. And what is the number going to look like? Maybe. But it would be a huge mistake for Al Horford, although he's a good fit there. I would hate to see this guy in Golden State. You're not winning no rings over there, brother. If you really want to win a ring, how about you join your ex-pal, Marcus Smart, in LA? Now we're cooking, right? But again, the Lakers still have options here, and we have all our flexibility because we haven't traded away our first-round pick or a pick swap. We still have Dalton. We still have, Austin Reeves, Rui, and expiring contracts. So I do expect the Lakers at some point will make some sort of a deal, whether that's here in the offseason, or are we going to carry this roster after waiving and stretching maybe another player into the regular season, and then come trade deadline, then all of a sudden those expiring contracts look a lot more lucrative to teams that are not competing, right? That's always an option for sure, guys. But again, things are getting interesting. Now, I do want to talk about our potential starting lineup and what I think it's going to be versus what I think it should be, right? Because I think the starting lineup is going to be the same as last year, except with the substitution of Ayton instead of Jackson Hayes. So it's going to be Luka at the point, Austin at the 2, Rui at the 3, LeBron at the 4, and Ayton at the 5. I'm not the biggest fan of that roster for multiple reasons, right? I still feel gaping defensive holes like that, right? Now, Austin really struggled in the playoffs. I'm not too concerned about him in the regular season. My concern is defensively. We have to build a defensive identity next season and hit the ground running. So again, my projected lineup and what I think it's going to be early is that. Now, what do I want it to be? I think this is a much better lineup here. All right, Luka Doncic point guard, Marcus Smart shooting guard, All right. A small forward, Rui. Power forward, LeBron. And center, DeAndre Ayton. All of a sudden, your weakest links defensively, all right, end up being Luka Doncic, who, by the way, is getting in shape and he could improve in that department, and LeBron, because LeBron's not going to give it 110% during regular season. He'll save it for the postseason or for games when he really needs to go out. All right. So, and then Rui as well. But having two solid defenders, one in Marcus Smart, assuming he's healthy, and the other one in DeAndre Ayton, who can man the paint, get 10 rebounds, maybe 16, 17 points. A legitimate 7-footer finally, who's mobile, who can catch the ball to go alongside of Luka. I think that brings the perfect balance of defense and offense. What do you guys think of that starting lineup? I think that should be the one with Austin coming off the bench. All right. I think that is absolutely the way to go. Let's see. D. Free says, if you trade with a team that has enough cap space to absorb one of these players, you don't have to bring back anything, but they'll probably require attaching an asset for the favor. And we don't have any second-round picks, right, to trade. So it'll get really interesting to see what that asset ends up being, right? And but yeah, I mean, guys, we have a roster that can be formidable already entering this season. Already, it's just about will JJ put together the proper rotations, right? I want to know what your guys' rotation is. Mine is simple: DeAndre Ayton in for Jackson Hayes as in the starting lineup this year, and Marcus Smart in for Austin Reeves. That changes the entire dynamic of the starting lineup, and it provides a bench for us as well. Because now you got Austin off the bench, potentially Dalton, right? You're going to have Jackson Hayes off the bench who can catch lobs from Austin. You're going to have, different players there who can help. Maybe Maxi Kleber, assuming he stays on, right? The word is that the Lakers are looking to create a roster slot for Marcus Smart because even though they just waived Shake Milton, who was about to be guaranteed today, they still don't have enough to give Marcus Smart the $11 million 2-year deal that was promised to him. So they're going to make either a trade or they're going to waive and stretch another player, right? So that's what we're talking about right now. And we're also talking about the potential starting lineups to what we think they're going to be versus what I think they should be and what you guys think they should be. Because I think that's a very important conversation to have early on. I think it can make a world of difference moving forward. Day says, I have a good feeling that we're going to make a move for Aaron Naismith. Ooh. He said Indiana is rebuilding next year, so I could see them being willing to trade Naismith for Dalton plus Gabe in a first-round pick. I'd do that in a heartbeat, man. And also Nemhard. Either of those two guys would be awesome, but Naismith has better size as a wing. I would love it. I feel like if they did that, though, they would disgruntle their starting point guard and Tyrese Halliburton, if I'm being realistic, right? Just looking at this outside of being a Laker fan, just as an NBA fan. If you're Indiana, you don't want to do that. You don't want to piss off. You already lost Miles Turner. If you start having a fire sale, now Tyrese Halliburton might want to get traded, right? So, yeah. As Stewart says, in your opinion, Dan, the Lakers do have a trade before Wednesday. Who should the Lakers go get for a trade package? I'm stubborn, man. I'm still hoping out and holding out for Walker Kessler because I'd still start him and put Ayton at the 4 and just have a huge lineup and counter everything the league is doing. Not saying they would work well together, but even if you bring Kessler off the bench, he'd be a tremendous backup who brings tons of energy and defense. So I'm still hoping for that. We still got Dalton. We still got expiring contracts, and we got a first-round pick. But I think if we do make a trade, it's going to be a minor trade just to offload some salary. That's my prediction, man. There's a chance that we can just stretch somebody and make the cap space like that, and then just go into the season with this team and the flexibility to make a trade during the trade deadline. Because remember, everybody feels like they're going to be a contender when the season starts until you get punched in the mouth. By trade deadline, everybody kind of knows what's going to happen. You either way far below the 500 mark or way above it. So you're either a buyer or a seller. If you're the Lakers, you're going to have expiring contracts like Maxi, Kleber, like Gabe Benson, etc., right? Those can be assets because teams can be looking to get off of contracts, maybe even guys that they signed in the offseason that didn't work out. And that is when the Lakers can really feast. So I am expecting a minor trade here to round out the roster. But if we don't get that by training camp, then most likely this is the team we're going to see. They're just going to wave and stretch somebody, right? I would like Rui off the bench, slots him better and get him more looks. Actually, Vandal starting there is the best case in my opinion. I don't mind starting Austin and Smart, but one of Rui AR has to go. That's an intriguing thing. Here's the thing, and I love Vandal. I would love to start him. Sometimes with Vandal, man, especially come playoff time, I don't know if that will work because they sag off completely off of Vandal. Now it feels like you're playing 5-on-4. Can't have that. At least with Rui, he can knock it down. He can keep the defense honest. So for the playoffs, I prefer Rui. For the regular season, Vandal is fine. You meet a team every once in a while. It's not like you have a little mini series during the regular season where they can figure you out, right? So you can catch a team slipping with Vandal in the starting lineup here and there. But for the purpose of floor spacing, keeping everything stretched out for our guy Luka and LeBron, I prefer Rui in the starting lineup only for now until we get a better option. We had a better option. If we had like a PJ Washington or somebody like that, then of course I'm gonna go with that. Like I said, I don't think they're rebuilding. It's just a gap year. Yeah, that's what I think too. If you're the Pacers, the last thing you want to do is piss off your point guard and Tyrese Halliburton, because then you have a real issue. That's your franchise guy who just led you to the finals. You already lost Miles Turner, right? You can't do that again. Arthur, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, brother. Said, I wish Vandal had a smidget of offensive talent. His defense is starting caliber. Vandal literally can push us over the edge if he could finish. Bro, that's just the problem I have, and this is why I like Darius Bazley so much. I love Darius Bazley so much because it's simple. He is somebody who could finish better than Vandal and was around the same age. Didn't have the jump shot, but once in a while could knock it down. I wish that Vandal had the aggression attacking the rim that a Bazley had, and he would be a perfect player. That's it, man. But yeah, man, it's something that we'll see what happens here with this roster. We could have a move soon. Nothing would surprise me. Whether they make a trade or just end up waiving and stretching somebody, it's starting to look like this could be the roster we head into the next season with, right? And so this is why I wanted to talk about the starting lineups and the bench players. My starting lineup, I believe, provides the most well-roundedness, defense and offense, okay? Because you got Marcus Smart, who's an elite defender when healthy. You got Luka, who's got good size. At the point guard position, I don't worry too much about him. In the playoffs, however, if you got him in Austin, now it's barbecue chicken alert, right? But if he's in shape, he comes in motivated. We saw him get plenty of steals and blocks last season, during the second half after we traded for him. So there's potential there. It's all about his motor. And I think his motor will improve and get better defensively if he's in shape, right? Because anybody knows when you're out of shape, you're huffing and puffing and all that good stuff. So him starting, could be, I think, very intriguing in a sense that if he's in shape, the defense won't look as bad, especially with Marcus Smart in the backcourt with him. I think that provides the perfect combination of defense and offense. And then at small forward, you got Rui. Like I said, you keep the floor spread for guys like LeBron and Luka. And it also gives Ayton a lot of room to operate in the middle, right? In the paint, if you ever post them up here and there. I expect him to get some touches, not a lot, but some. And then look, with LeBron James, obviously at the 4, I would still prefer him at the 3, even though he can't guard younger threes no more. But, at least not for 48 minutes. He can guard them in stretches. But at the 4, I guess it's okay alongside Ayton for now. If we had a better 4, then I would remove Rui from the small forward position, and I would put LeBron there. That's just my take on that. But appreciate your, Arthur. Thank you so much, bro. Let's see. Yo, Dan, how you feel about Brian as a backup big? I'd love a high energy, high motor guy. It seems like he's developed some good efficiency. And to anybody saying Brian sucks, didn't pay attention in the finals. Brian sucked only because there was no big alongside him. When he played for the Lakers and he was starting when AD got hurt a couple years back, I think he was averaging like 17 points and 10 rebounds with 2 blocks. Now, he's still undersized to be the starting caliber center, but as a power forward or as a backup big, more ideally, he's tremendous. And he showed that. Rick Carlisle played him perfectly in limited minutes off the bench. I would love him. I actually like him better than Jackson Hayes. He can do more. He can actually space the floor. He's got a higher motor. All right. So, Mike, great question, brother. Thank you so much for Super Chat. And yes, I would love to have Thomas Bryant. It will make me feel a lot safer than just having Jackson Hayes back there. To be fair, they're going to sag off of Marcus as well. He's more of a threat, but he's got that Russell in him. So he's not good if he's going to take 10 threes a game. Playing alongside LeBron James and Luka, just going to give you higher efficiency looks, D-free. So that's why I think it offsets it. Marcus Smart alongside a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown doesn't look good because all those dudes are shot chuckers. So nobody's really setting the table for a Marcus Smart, right? Marcus Smart is going to be brought in here just to play defense. Anything he gives us on offense will be a bonus. But he's not going to get too many shots. He'll get some good ones. He might get, he might be able to chuck, 5 threes a game if he's starting. But I still think he's going to play 25 minutes. Just because Austin's coming off the bench doesn't mean he's not going to get his 35 plus, right? So I think Marcus was still, especially coming off of major injuries, will get less minutes, but start. And what I mean by start is, believe it or not, you set the tone defensively early on. And then the next guys that come off the bench, they have to keep that intensity going, or you get benched, right? It's that simple. Plus, I think it will light a spark. And I think Dalton and Austin could have a good chemistry off the bench. We saw it in spurts last year. Assuming Dalton stays, he could be very good for Austin. Austin could be very good for Dalton. We've seen them taking turns. One game, I think they both had 30 apiece. We said we got the coldest white boys in Southern California, right? So that was pretty fun to watch. But again, it's all right now. If I was JJ Redick, I'm coming in with Marcus Smart starting with Luka, with LeBron, with Rui, and with Ayton. And then we tweak things as the season progresses because it may or may not work. We'll see. But that's the first crack at that's DTLF's rotation right there with, Austin, Jackson, and everybody else coming off the bench. My guy said the problem with starting lineup is that LeBron, Luka, and Rui are all best guarding power forwards in today's NBA. Marcus is also really best guarding 2s and 3s now too. I think we'll be fine, man. I think, we can't have everybody guard everybody, but I think we'll be fine. Having an anchor is going to solve so many problems. Having a guy who can actually protect the rim and not just get in foul trouble like Jackson Hayes is going to help us tremendously, man. I think having DeAndre Ayton back there, somewhat of a presence. He's not the best rim protector, but he's decent. And so now when some of you guys get beat off the dribble, they either have to hit you with the midi, the teardrop, or they're going to have to finish through contact at the rim. And just having that in the back of your mind as a defender, guarding the perimeter gives you so much more confidence, I think. So I'm very curious to see what happens there. Sharon, I want more until I think of the last playoffs. Then I'm happy we're a much better team. We are a better team, and we're going to get better. It's going to take time for them to link to, dare I say, for the chemistry to take off, right? But so Lakers out of the Wiggins trade. Okay, Wilkie's well connected. I believe that. I believe that for sure. No one wants to hear that right now because the playoffs, but pre-playoff Gabe was smart. LeBron, Luka, and Ayton would lock up. Man, I don't think we can hold on to Gabe, bro. I just don't. I don't think Gabe, Bronny, now Marcus Smart. That's a lot of 6'3" and under guards, bro. That's too many. We got to get rid of one, and I think Gabe's the odd man out. And he's in an expiring contract. We're definitely not going to re-sign him. I think we should look to re-sign Smart if he has a successful year this year, right? He's probably going to opt out and want more money. AR won't come off the bench on the year where he could walk next season and on a contract year. He would have to be very unselfish, but that is what it's going to take for us to win a championship, I think. Unless he improves his defense tremendously, which, could happen, but it's not likely, right, for him to be insane defensively next year. He's going to be a liability. Him and Luka in the backcourt just doesn't work, and I think that's, Manu Ginobili was a much better defender than Austin has been, although it's not for lack of effort with Austin. But even Manu came off the bench because him and Tony Parker would have been barbecue chicken alert, right? You can't have too much of the same. You can't have too much green lights, You got to put some red lights out there and put some stops on the opposition. So, it's not about is he willing to. Is you're not the coach, Austin. You're going to come off the bench, and if you want to dip after this, then that's up to you. You're going to lose mad money. But if they catch wind of his, him being disgruntled, he might get traded by the trade deadline. There's also that option. I mean, we'll see. We will see. Well, he does chuck. That's who he is. He's got terrible shot selection. That won't go away. But it would be nice if he did. If it did, LOL, love him to solely catch and shoot. Marcus Smart is before the injuries, he was sneaky athletic. I wouldn't mind him putting the ball on the floor sometimes, but he's not going to get 15 to 20 shots a game. If that happens, he'll find himself or traded by the trade deadline. Marcus Smart should be okay. All right. He should live up to his last name, and he should play smart on the Lakers because it's different. I really believe it's different being on the Celtics with two young guys trying to carve out their star in the league, which is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, versus coming to a team with two proven winners, two guys who have been to the finals. One is a multi-time champion. The other one's been to the finals. And following their lead. And if they say, hey, Marcus, we want you to be aggressive, he'll be aggressive. They say, Marcus, we want you spotting up and, picking when you attack, right? Unless you have a mismatch, reset the offense, you know what I mean? Like, then he'll listen to that too. I'm sure he will. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Marcus Smart starting. I'm more worried about Austin starting. As much as I love Austin, I hated what I saw, last year between him and Luka defensively. We look like food out there sometimes. Combined for 70, crazy. He said OG Reeves definitely cared about stats. I don't know where you got that from. I'm sorry, definitely doesn't care about stats. Everybody, let me tell you something. Everybody in the NBA cares about their stats because at the end of the day, that is one of the gateways to getting paid. The other way to getting paid is carving out your role like Alex Caruso did. He's not a stat guy, but you can feel his impact. As soon as he comes on, as soon as he joins his roster on the floor, it's an instant impact. Instantly. The plus minus is always amazing. So those are the numbers. So Austin is a numbers guy. He needs to average 20 points and 6 assists to feel like an integral part of the team. And as LeBron gets older, he will, average more of the scoring load. The problem isn't the offense. The problem is the defense, okay? And it wasn't that glaring before we traded for Luka because, you could plug in somebody else next to Austin. I think when he was starting alongside, who was it, Max Christie, that was a perfect balance because Austin Reeves and Max Christie, Max would lock up and he'd cover up a lot of the blemishes that Austin had, and Austin would, he would get inspired and play a little bit better defense. So I don't remember us complaining too much about him starting when Max Christie and them were out there, and Austin was putting up insane numbers. I'm talking 30 and 10 on some nights. So, man. Let's see. Randolph, what's up, buddy? He said, Dan, you've always known how I felt about Austin, but I wouldn't mind trading him before the deadline instead of losing him in free agency for nothing. Well, here's the thing we have to remember. We have his bird rights. If you lose him to free agency for nothing, then dude is just a loser, and he had no intention of winning or earning a lot of money because we have his bird rights. We can pay him more than anybody, right? On a year where LeBron's coming off the books, he's going to get paid. So the likelihood of Austin leaving for nothing is slim to none. The only way I can see that happening is if we bench him, he comes out with a bad attitude, and then he gets DNPs by the coach. Then I can see that happening. But outside of that, I think Austin loves LA. LA loves Austin. I think he's going to re-up with us for a long time unless he does get traded. And the only way I'm okay with him being traded is if we get somebody who fits better in the starting lineup or the bench and multiple assets. That's the only way because he's a borderline all-star player, and he's going to get better, right? And I'd be okay with trading him, but we got to get better. We can't get worse. Well, Austin only got minutes initially because of his defense. That's the only reason he got on the court as a rookie year and beyond. With less offensive burden, he's better. He's guarded well in the Western Conference Finals year. I don't worry about Austin for lack of effort. His effort is always there. With Austin is more so the lack of explosion. You're guarding some of the best guards around the NBA, and the lack of athleticism. He's sneaky athletic, but it's more like Gordon Dragic, than he is Manu. He's sneaky athletic. Sometimes he'll catch you with a crossover and a dunk here and there, and I love that about him. But defensively, the lateral quickness just isn't there when he's guarding elite explosive guards in the Western Conference. And it was very apparent trying to guard Anthony Edwards. He was food a lot of times, and they had to switch and put different looks out there. And and that's just the way it's going to be in the West. And then playing alongside Luka, we have to cater to Luka. Can't cater to Austin. If Austin wants out, he'll probably, request out. And that would mean being traded by the trade deadline. That's better for him, too, because he gets more of his money to whatever team trades for his bird rights. Right? So that's why I think people are missing the point here. Guys want to get paid. Yes, they want bigger roles and bigger stats and all this and all that. You want to get paid ultimately, and the Lakers are going to have the cash next summer to pay him, right? Let's see. Yeah, he cares about being productive and shooting well, but not stat padding is what I'm saying. He's not putting his stats in front of the team. Definitely not. I don't think he is either, but I do believe he's going to want plenty of shots for sure. Now, I do believe Austin is the type that would much prefer to actually win than to have a 30-point triple-double, right? He's not Russell Westbrook, because that's what we're talking about for sure. But all in all, man, I got to say, Austin Reeves has a lot more potential in him, and I haven't given up on him. I know he had a bad playoff showing, but I do believe it was due to his injury. I wholeheartedly believe it. All right, let's compare what the Lakers have done this offseason to what other teams have done, and where would you guys rank it? Let's talk about it a little bit. All right, and let's start with, we signed DeAndre Ayton, 2-year, $34 million deal with a player option on the second year, following the buyout from Portland. Great move, much necessary, especially after the playoffs, exposed our lack of size. Then, first it was Jake LaRavia, actually. I'm not going in order. I'm just mentioning the moves. Jake LaRavia, 2-year, $12 million. A lot of people saying this was a steal of a deal because he's a solid two-way forward who can develop into something nice. Still really young, only 23, and he shot 43% from beyond the arc last season. And obviously the Marcus Smart that just happened, 2-year deal worth $11 million. Lakers still trying to clear cap to make that happen officially, but it's going to happen after his buyout with Washington, right? We re-signed Jackson Hayes. Not a fan, but we re-signed him. LeBron James opted in. He exercised his $52.6 million deal. We waived recently, waived Shake Milton. We acquired in the draft before all this even happened, Adu Thiero, right, from the draft, number 36 overall pick. Can end up being a steal because he seems really, really good. Involved in one of the biggest trades involving 7 teams that include Kevin Durant's new team, the Houston Rockets, right? And we lost Dorian Finney-Smith, which was the only loss. So far, this offseason has been an A, if you think about it. Everything we've addressed and the little that we've lost. And while we will obviously miss DFS, Lakers could make a trade and cover up some of that as well, right? Now, let's rank it amongst the other teams. I think let's go in reverse. Let's go in reverse amongst who had the best offseason so far. It's not over yet, but let's go in reverse. I thought the Denver Nuggets, I'm going to bring them at number 5. Right, they acquired Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas. Then the reason I put him number 5 is Valanciunas is not going to play for them, right? But they acquired Bruce Brown and trade for Cam Johnson, right, for Michael Porter Jr. They lost Russell Westbrook. That's about it. That's a really good offseason for them. Okay, so I'll put him number 5, right, as far as rankings go. At number 4, I'm gonna put the Atlanta Hawks. They acquired Kristaps Porzingis. Nickeil Alexander Walker, very solid role player, and Luke Kennard, right? So very, very good, man. And, the Hawks additions, they definitely complement Trae Young and Jalen Johnson and those guys. And they have a nice young core, right? So that's interesting. So I'll put them there. At number 3, because they were on the verge of losing Giannis Antetokounmpo and they had to do something, I'll give them Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner was a huge move for them. I think it'll be interesting. Now, they waived Damian Lillard. So, actually, let me slide them to number 4 about the team I said previously, the Hawks at number 3. I forgot about the Damian Lillard situation. I don't like the way they went out with that. Let's see, where are we? 3? Who else am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody here. The Thunder. No, it wasn't the Thunder. I'm sorry. Who am I missing? Yeah, the Thunder. I'll put the Thunder at number 2 simply because they re-upped all their guys, right? There was question marks about who they were going to re-sign and how much money it was going to cost them and if they were going to break up anybody or whatever. They're ponying up the dough. So I gotta put them there. Yeah, I'll put them as an honorable mention. I'm sorry. I'll put them as an honorable mention. It's not, you can't really consider those moves. They're just re-upping their guys. They're moves, but they're not really necessarily moves. Honorable mention, all right? Number 2. Yes, I slid us all the way up. That's the Lakers, man. We already talked about all the moves we did. We did plenty of moves, if you think about it. I still think we're not done. I'll put us at number 2. just because we addressed major issues without giving up any assets and kept our flexibility for another trade that I think is going to happen at some point, whether it's now or the trade deadline. So I'm going to put us at number 2 because we set ourselves up for success. All right. And then number 1, I got to go with the Houston Rockets. You got to go with the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets, you know, they were tremendous this offseason in their acquisition of Kevin Durant. Obviously, they got DFS. They got Clint Capella, right? And the only guy they lost was Nail Polish. So I think, you know, I think they're number 1. I have to be realistic, man. Yes, I'm a Laker fan, but I'm realistic. And I'll tell you, the Houston Rockets had the best offseason, but the Lakers might have just catapulted themselves up to number 2. This could all change. There's still plenty of moves that are going to be had. The Warriors might still sign Horford, etc. All right. There's still moves that are going to happen. Chris Paul's still a free agent and so on and so forth. But I think I like the Lakers offseason second best after the Rockets for sure. But the Rockets take the cake. I didn't think there was anybody who was going to surpass them at all. Right. I did put the Nuggets. I said the Nuggets were number 5, actually. You got to listen, Mars. You got to listen, bro. Let's see. Dorian did not have a great playoffs, but we were plus 17 when he was out there. That is a significant loss, but I do think we are a good bit better. I believe we'll end up better than them if we're healthy, but I'm just ranking off seasons based off of moves, not based off of Western Conference rankings, right? So we had, in my opinion, the second best off season in the West from these other teams, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we could have ended up having the best. We might end up being the best or a worse team than last year, right? So again, definitely gonna leave the Clippers out. They get left out every time because they don't ever prove anything, bro. So until they prove something, they're gonna get left out. I'm sorry. I hate to burst your bubble. Did they get better? Sure, but they got older too. We got to take that into account. That's not more impressive than any of the other teams I mentioned that are more legitimate contenders than the Flippers. If I had to rank the Flippers, I'd probably give them like top 7 in the West. You know, top 7 for sure. And that just means not even hating on them. That's just being straight up. Val is playing, last I heard. They also are getting back Holmes, who missed out the entire season last year. I'm also super worried about the health for the Hawks, but they have a dozen good defensive wings. I'm not worried about the Hawks at all. They're young, man. We got to worry about the older teams, especially in the Western Conference, and then in a wide open East. You know, wide open East. Y'all overrate Dorian? No, we don't, JD. Dorian, we get it. He didn't score the points we wanted him to. He didn't knock down the shots we wanted him to in the playoffs. But like D Free said, he was a plus 17 on the plus minus. That means defensively, rebounding, and just his presence out there helps the team. He's going to help the Rockets too, man. The Rockets, they're dangerous. Whether you want to admit it or not, they're there. And they're going to be a problem, you know? Yo, what up, Jeremy? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you guys. Houston, LA Clippers, Orlando? Is that your ranking? Houston, number 1 for sure. What did the Hawks do? Man, you got to keep up, man. I just mentioned it. Right? They traded for Porzingis. Right? They got a very, very solid player in what's his name? Alexander Walker. Right? And they're just adding to an already dangerous young core. That's what they did. You got to keep up, man. How often do you get a fresh baldy? You haven't grown it out in ages, mate. Man, it's cheaper. Man, going to a barber these days in Cali, bro, costs you an arm and a leg. So I just, anytime I get hot, bro, if it gets too hot, it's the summertime, or if I just want to look fresh and go out somewhere on a date with my girl, to the movies, anywhere, to go eat somewhere, then I'll cut off my hair. That's simple. He said, Dan, you used to have a Darvin Ham voiceover on his loss with the 5-guard lineup. Where did it go? I think YouTube might have deleted that, bro. I think YouTube might have deleted that, but I'm gonna bring some new clips for super chats next season. I got you guys, man. I was thinking of doing a Darvin one for sure. Let's see. Here's somebody else's ranking. Number 1. Hey, what's up, D Prince? How you doing, bro? Number 1, Rockets. Number 2, Nuggets. Number 3, Mavs. Low key. You think the Mavs? Okay, that's interesting. Number 4, Lakers, and then Hawks and Flippers. I respect your opinion, but what did the Mavs do better than us? I'd like to know this offseason. Like, why do they rank above us? Just because of their first overall pick, or what is it? I'm just curious. I don't necessarily disagree, but I give you Rockets and Nuggets. I give you that. I can't give you Mavs. I just D'Lo, like offseason moves. I get it. They got the first overall pick, but D'Lo is not really going to carry them anywhere. They still don't have Kyrie. I still don't fear the Mavericks. I don't. We all saw what happened when we faced them last year. You know, AD wasn't even a factor. Everybody was scared we were going to get cooked by AD. It was Luka doing the cooking, right? They haven't done much this offseason and really put fear in me. I like Cooper Flag. I think he's a great prospect. Over the next 3 to 5 years, he'll be interesting. Always been a fan of his. But let's be quite frank. We can't really, I can't put him over us, bro. We had a much better offseason. We addressed true areas of concern and need while they got the first overall pick that landed on their lap, right? So, can't do it, man. If the Raptors decided to blow it up, would you trade for Brandon Ingram? No, we need more defense, athleticism. We don't need more isolation scoring. Brandon Ingram proved for Team USA he needs the ball in his hands. The last thing we need to pair up with Luka for the future is another guy that needs the ball in his hands. We need more guys that can play off ball, or a big man like Giannis or somebody like that would be more preferable. Dan, I don't see us trading Reeves at this point. Now that we got Smart, Reeves going to play harder too. Yeah, I'm not anticipating it either, but nothing surprises me with the Lakers, man. They're full of surprises. Think about the offseason we've had. The franchise got sold. Nobody expected that, not even your boy. Franchise got sold. This was after the surprising trade for Luka Doncic that nobody expected, not even your boy. And now I can't sit here and say for sure that Austin is safe, because this team has operated from a very surprising standpoint. So anything is possible, right? He said, no, I was saying you didn't mention the Magic. They should be a lot better. I think I was just talking about the Western Conference teams. But yes, the Magic had a tremendous offseason. I did include the Hawks, right? That's the confusing part. You're right. So the Magic are definitely up there, man. I definitely like the trade they made for Desmond Bane for sure. I just can't put them in my top 5. I like it, but they got to show me during the regular season. Many times we've seen young teams make trades like that, and either the piece doesn't live up to the hype or they fall short, right? So I'm still not ready to put them in my top 5 yet. But I do like Desmond Bane trade. I liked it when it happened. And at that point, when that happened, they were winning the offseason, but then a bunch of more moves happened, right? Let's see. Austin Vando Rui will take another leap. Just wait on it. I hope so, but we can't hold our breath for it, right? We've been saying this for years. Austin did take a leap. Rui didn't last year. Rui was very even keel. Now, in the playoffs, he was tremendous, which he's been in the past. But during the regular season, we need Rui to be a 15-point per game scorer. If not 15 point per game, then the 13 is fine, but just more efficiently and a better defender and rebounder. So that's all I'm saying, man. Mavs got Ryan Nembhard, extended Kyrie for Coop and D'Lo. They mostly needed point guard play, and regular season D'Lo is fine. Not a better offseason than us, though. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Can't put it, we cannot put them above us. That's all I was asking, bro. Like, those moves are decent, but none of those moves scream we're going to fear them in the West next year, right? When Kyrie comes back, we can have a different conversation for sure. But right now, I cannot have the Mavericks in my top 5. I just can't do it. But credit to the West. If you look at my list, mostly it was the West that has improved per usual, man. The East, Magic, Hawks, real cute. But let's be honest, the West is still ultimately going to be insanely more competitive than the East, as it is every year, right? It is. Let's see. We got another list. My guy said number 1, Rockets, number 2, Trailblazers, number 3, Nuggets, 4, Atlanta, and 5, the Lakers and Clippers. Ooh, you bundled us. I don't like the bundle, man. I don't like the bundle. Yeah, no, you don't bundle us with the Clippers at all. Yuck. But I don't mind your list. Also, to some extent, staff stuff could be factored into it with this Mavericks have brought in all their guys, Handy, Vogel, and more. Now that is true. I wasn't talking about the coaching staff or none of that, but you make a good point because those are the guys. They're trying to basically. They don't have any creativity, man. They went and grabbed everybody who was on the 2020 championship team, right? From Jason Kidd to Frank Vogel to Phil Handy. Oh, it's not a bad idea, but it's 2025. Things have changed, right? You're not going to win a championship without Kyrie healthy. You're not even going to compete. And we don't even know if AD can stay healthy for an entire year, right? So, it is what it is. I think we are still a 7 seed at the moment. You think so? Wait. How is that possible? We were a top 3 seed last season. And we made moves to get better. And now you're putting us backwards, Jeremy? Come on, brother. As a D Prince said, I just feel like the Mavs addressed their need more quickly. But we can argue that their draft picks was rigged. But the gap between Lakers and Mavs is so small, in my opinion. Fair enough. Agree to disagree. I think the gap between the Lakers and Mavs is going to be huge, man. I think the Mavs are going to fight for a play-in roster spot, while the Lakers are going to fight for a top 3 roster spot. That is what I think. But again, agree to disagree. All love, all respect, brother. Let's see. I knew you weren't going to like the list. I like your list. I just don't think the Clippers are anywhere near us, bro. Look, now I'll say this. The Clippers got better, sure. But that's a retirement home team. You know what I mean? Like, that's a team that's one injury away from making the play-in tournament, as averse to making a top 3 team. They're very front-loaded. Zubats, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Bradley Beal. Very top-loaded and very old on top of that. That's a recipe for disaster. Who are their young guns? Who are their young, hungry guys off the bench that are going to cook? Right? I do like John Collins, but he's probably going to be a starter, right? I don't know. Let's see. Rockets, Clippers, Mavs, Lakers. Hopefully that's not the order, but okay. We are 1 piece away from a championship. I do believe that. I actually believe we're less than a piece away from a championship. Meaning we probably don't even have to trade for nothing. We probably just have to sign it. Like, if we were blessed enough to clear up enough room to get like an Al Horford, that would be it for me. Bringing Al Horford with the Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton acquisitions on top of already having Luka, Austin, LeBron, Rui, etc. Then now we would be cooking, right? That's why I say half of an acquisition. That's what I'm saying. John Collins and Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez old as shit, man. And I wonder who they're going to start, Brook Lopez or John Collins. And then I do like John Collins. I like that acquisition for sure for them. I hate the fact that he's a Clipper. He's a good player, though. I give him that. Appreciate you, CPT Cowboys. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that. Number 7 is crazy when you have Slim, Luka, and good roster now. Yeah, you know what? That one surprised me by my good friend Jeremy. But he probably has reasons. My guy said, I'm factoring in an older and more disgruntled LeBron. Fair enough. LeBron James, so you're betting on the fact that a superhero is going to take a step back finally. Okay. But I think if he does take a step back willingly, it could help the Lakers because other guys can shine and he can save himself for the playoffs. Right? Yeah, Clippers definitely got older and slower, and they did get better in the sense of names, but we all know the Clippers always get names. Throughout the last couple of years, they've gotten guys like Baron Davis, right? They've had guys obviously like Paul George, Kawhi. Like, they always get big names. Recently, they've just acquired James Harden and then now re-signed him to an extension. But those big names don't, they don't amount to nothing. It's like the Clipper curse is real. They never scare me for whatever reason, even though I was impressed by them getting John Collins. Well, I'm not really impressed. I'm expecting it because, that money slid under that table is crazy. But the fact that they got John Collins to add to Zubats, to add to, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting. It makes their team interesting for sure. And, they're going to be regular season warriors. They're going to be killing in the regular season. He said, also, don't see any lob threats for Luka, Dan. Ayton ain't no lob threat. Think again, Jeremy. Where's that stat you showed me, D Free, about Aiden being one of the top lob catchers in the league? You got to do your research, bro, when you come on here. Jeremy, come on, brother. You know better, man. Yeah, Aiden's actually has really good hands. Aiden actually has really good hands for catching lobs. I'll take Ben Simmons, to be honest. Trey Day. Love the name, by the way. Yeah, Ben Simmons is intriguing. Here's my only problem. If you get Ben Simmons, you got to get rid of Vando. You can't have too many of these guys that refuse to shoot. You know what I mean? You can't have that. Because then it's going to look like we don't know how to play basketball, right? And I like Ben Simmons, but bro refuses layups, man. We already got a player like that. His name is Vanderbilt. And when we have him out there, man, it's like we're playing 5-on-4 offensively. I don't like that. And I love Vando defensively, but offensively, he's almost non-existent. Same thing can be said about Ben Simmons. I love his defense and his size and the fact that he can play point guard off the bench. If we traded Vando away, then I wouldn't mind Ben Simmons, right? He can rebound and assist and defense. I know. But listen, what was one of the biggest issues we had last season? Let's see if you guys remember. Off the bench. Scoring. So do we really need more rebound and more assist off the bench? Well, maybe the assist can lead to some scoring, but I think we need guys who can, like, I was thinking of a Malik Monk. If we could trade for a Malik Monk, he can come in off the bench and do some scoring and, alleviate some of the pressure from the starters, right? Because we don't want to be bringing back Luka and LeBron early just because the bench went cold, right? That's my only concern about Ben Simmons. I've always liked this game. It's just I'm not sure if he fits here, man. We keep getting guys who can't shoot, and I don't know, man. Hey, what up, Strega? Yeah, you're late to the party, but better late than never. Thank you so much, my friend. You are goated. I appreciate the super chat. We basically just talked about everything. Actually, we talked about the move that happened today. We talked about obviously the fact that we waived Shake Milton. Could we potentially see a trade to clear up more roster spots, or even just the cap space to sign Marcus, or are we going to waive another player or stretch another player? We'll see. Stuff is going to happen, Strega, so keep it locked. But we also talked about, the rotation, who I would start versus who I think is going to start, and then all that good stuff. So we actually did cover a lot, but appreciate you as always. Let's see. Trey Day said Reeves off the bench. Yes. Now, Reeves off the bench with Ben Simmons does sound a lot better if you do bring in a Ben Simmons. But you still got Vando. What do you do with Vando? Are you going to play a dual lineup of Vando and Ben Simmons off the bench, or does Ben Simmons just ride the pine? He's making about 13 mil, for the next 2 years. So, again, the only thing I don't like about – and I do like Ben, don't get me wrong. But the only thing I don't like about Ben Simmons is the fact that he can't shoot or refuses to take layups. That concerns me, especially, can you imagine in the playoffs losing a game due to the fact that this guy was wide open and had a brain fart? That would scare me. And we've seen that in the playoffs from him before. That's my only thing. I'm not pushing back on your idea. I'm just pushing back on the fit. I would much more like that idea had we already traded away, some of these other guys that can't shoot. Appreciate you, Kim Go. Yes, make sure you guys do hit the like and subscribe, guys. I got you guys covered year round, man. Here we are in late July, and we're still talking heavy Lakers, man. This might leak over to August because of everything that's happening, all the news, obviously a potential Luka contract extension. So make sure you guys keep it locked in here. All right, he said, yeah, we do need a microwave scorer off the bench. Names I have are Cam Thomas, I like him, Malik Monk, Teddy Rozier, but kind of in hot water. Yeah, not Rozier, but I like your first two choices. Malik Monk would be super elite. We definitely desperately miss Malik Monk. That would be, man. Neil says, unfortunately, whenever shooters, quote unquote shooters, come to the Lakers, all of a sudden they forget how to shoot. You're not wrong. However, we already had one of these quote unquote shooters that didn't forget how to shoot. Matter of fact, he had a career year with us when he got here. His name was Malik Monk. Hence the reason why I wouldn't mind bringing him back. I actually thought when Jordan Clarkson got bought out, I thought he would have been a perfect candidate. Shout out to the Knicks for picking him up. I thought that was tremendous. But again, there's still Lonnie Walkers. We just don't have any roster spots. There's still guys who can get buckets. We just don't have the roster spots. Now, as far as Ben Simmons, again, I wouldn't mind him if we didn't have a guy like Vando. Who else? Athero also, I don't think is a shooter. More of an athlete, defensive guy. Maybe he develops into one. But, we don't want to have too many of those guys because now you can't play them all together at the same time. Now you have dead roster spots, and you don't want to do that. Damn, we don't need big names. I actually like how we're filling out with the upgrades. Oh, for sure. It was all about needs. We have the big names. LeBron James and Luka Doncic are the big names. We have those, right? The other guys are obviously Austin, Rui, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, you're right. We're filling in the gaps nicely, and we're rounding out this roster nicely, right? Let's see here. Who's better, Giannis or LeBron? LeBron. LeBron's always been better. I mean, just look at the championship count, 4-1. Now, Giannis is awesome to watch as well, but LeBron's always been a more well-rounded player. That's not even a conversation. If we're talking about career to career, if we're talking about now, currently in their age, I still have to go with LeBron. Did you see what he did in the playoffs? He almost single-handedly brought us back a couple of those games, and unfortunately, we didn't have size to help him out in the paint, but I'm still going to go with LeBron. Yo, Agent 77, me too, bro. It's an exciting time for Laker fans. We have made some offseason acquisitions. Again, I rank us number 2 this offseason in the West, especially right behind the Rockets. I don't see too many teams that had a much better offseason than us. Especially, like I mentioned, I think people are underrating the fact that we made these moves without giving up any major assets or any assets at all. Yes, we lost DFS. That's about it. We didn't give up a first-round pick. We still have Austin. Dalton's still here. And we still have all the expiring contracts, which I believe are going to materialize into a trade next season, maybe before the trade deadline. All right. But all right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for me. Hopefully I answered most of your guys' questions. If I didn't, make sure to, log them in the comment section after this video post. If you haven't, please hit that like and subscribe, guys. Listen, I was looking at the stats the other day, and it says 70% of the people that watch my videos haven't subscribed. Now, I know what it is. Sometimes you might be watching it on a different device, or you just, don't feel like going down pressing the subscribe button. But I would truly appreciate it. It will help the channel out tremendously if all my regulars went and just hit the subscribe button and the post noti bell, because again, I got you guys covered from end to end. And who was the first one to call Marcus Smart, man? Come on. Y'all got to sign up, man. You heard it here first. So make sure you guys tap in, guys. Let's see. Dusty said Marcus Smart is a good DFS replacement. Marcus Smart is somebody I've been wanting on this team for years, man. For years. I'm glad we finally have him. And I think things are going to really build up from here, man. And but again, I knew we had to address the loss of DFS by getting a perimeter. I said either a perimeter defensive guard like Marcus Smart or a 3-and-D wing like PJ Washington, somebody like that. We went and got a defensive perimeter guard who can guard multiple positions. So that'll be good enough for now. And again, there's still more news to come, because I have a feeling there is a chance we make a smaller deal or even waive, or should I say stretch a player. So let's see what happens, guys. Keep it locked right here. Don't forget, post noti bells. I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Peace.